What's up here? Today we have Dominik Hanus, Speedy. He's gonna add value to us, and he's gonna explain all his phases. Not currently as an analyst, but he's also been an assistant coach, a head coach. So for sure, we're gonna learn a lot about him, about the transition in all his phases. So thank you very much for your time and for him, for being here with us. How's
Yeah,
it going,
hello.
man?
Hello. Thanks for having me. I'm doing great, just chilling. The off season started a bit sooner than I expected, so I have plenty of time. So yeah, I'm just chilling right now.
Nice, nice. So, as a starters, man, like, just how did you get introduced to video games? What was your first video game you played?
I think the first video game was actually Counter Strike
Yeah.
because I have an older brother. So when we had only one PC at home when I was really young, like 6, 7. So I was like sitting behind him and he was playing the game Counter Strike, and I had nothing else to do. So when he left with the friends, I just came, I looked in, and I played the Counter Strike. But I think the first game I ever played was actually on Game Boy, if you remember. That's for the OGs, I guess. So I played like Pokemon there, but the first PC game I ever played, I think it will be Heroes Might of Magic or Counter Strike for sure.
Nice. And how did you discover League of Legends? Like from Counter Strike to League of Legends? Like,
I will make it really simple. I'm not into FPS games that much, so I was playing like MMORPG games, with my cousin. And one day he just came to my home and he showed me the game called League of Legends on his notebook. So I was like, oh yeah, it seems okay. We can give it a try. And then yeah, it became almost addiction. I
I,
started. Yeah.
no. Like, nice. So, since the beginning, you liked it, or
Yeah, I liked it. I remember like we were playing only Twisted Free Line, that was the game mode for 3v3.
Mhm.
So we were like spamming the game. I remember like you had the opportunity to surrender, right? And we didn't know anything. We had really bad English. I was like 10, maybe 9, 10, 11. So I didn't know what surrender is. We thought that we might get banned if we press yes. So we were playing the game until the very end. And yeah, I like it a lot actually. But until like level 30, I was playing only normal games and only Twisted Tree Line basically. So
nice.
after school, I just played the game and that was all.
Great, great. And you mentioned the English part. Do you think like the the learning of English, like you have a very good English, like part of it or most of it is due to video games and your necessity to communicate with other players. So that's why it incentivizes you to learn English the and have the level you have.
Yeah, basically, like my story is, I had very bad English at school. I had almost the worst grades. I didn't find it very enjoyable for myself. But then I had to communicate in the game. I was getting better slowly and slowly in the game, and I like to spend time with people, and I like to talk to them, like because they were from different country, and like I like history and overall geography, so I like to talk with people from different countries. So I was pushed to learn myself, to actually talk, and I learned by talking. Like I was doing tons of mistakes, I still do, but I learned by talking. Like I was doing very funny
Mhm.
mistakes, but I was like, okay, I need to communicate. So if as far he understands me, it's fine. I will improve, and that's how I learned English actually. So on the high school, actually, I went for like from really bad grades to one of the best in the in my class. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean that's an amazing because like from having bad grades because the teacher didn't know how to make it passionate or interesting learning English.
Yeah, I have to
This video
say I was a
games.
bit lazy, but yeah.
No, but like I mean that's we're not gonna get a lot into it, but like that's why now in schools they're introducing a lot like the the based learning methods, like in
Mhm.
schools through video games. But yeah, okay, and you mentioned school. How did you manage? Like, so when you were in high school, were you playing Counter Strike or you were in League of Legends? Yeah, right.
Yeah, I was into League of Legends at the time at high school
Okay,
already. Yeah.
how did you manage school, League of Legends? Did you have a good balance, or how was
No,
it?
it was very unhealthy balance. I will be honest, okay? So it was very hard to manage it because at that time I already had a lot of things going in esport. Like we made our organization in Czech scene, and I was like 17 already, I think. So I wasn't really experienced to be like the general manager or like overall like taking care of the players because like I was kid as well, I didn't have that needed experience. So it took a lot of time, and I was there for like 1 year of the organization, and after that I just decided to leave the organization and focus on myself again, a bit more on the school. But then I had the opportunity of coaching, so the school went on, you know, once again behind, and I was focusing on my career as a coach.
Nice, nice. And did you finish school, or you?
Uh, I was in the second grade, I believe it's called, and then I got the opportunity to actually become a full-time coach. So I was thinking about it, and I like told myself that this is actually like my dream, and this might be like the first and the last opportunity. And I feel like I could take it and I could do that. So I took that opportunity, and for like until now I stopped the school. I can return, but I had to stop the school to focus on the league if I wanted to make it on the top.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's one of the main reasons why universities now, like in the States, are doing these esports scholarships. Because like
Hmm.
for the coaching aspect as well, like there's esport programs that can finance your masters,
Hmm.
and you coach them. So, and also for the esport players, so there's not this you have to choose between
Yeah,
being
yeah,
a player or to study. Okay, because I
yeah.
mean, if you're a top pro player, yeah, of course, going to go to university because you're getting
Yeah,
paid a lot.
yeah,
But like for
yeah,
those
exactly.
players, there's some players that finish their career, they didn't win that much money, and
Yeah,
they don't have studies, or they didn't do much apart from esports, and now they're so
yeah. I mean, it's
uh,
always a risk, right? So it's good to have something behind you and like studying. I think it's really fine. But I'm like from a small region, so if I wanted to move to school, what could be actually, or the school could be actually interested for me, or interesting for me, I have to move, and I couldn't focus on the esport. So I had to choose. Like
yeah, of
you
course.
either do something that you really hate doing, or you risk it and you start doing something you love or you would like to do. So yeah,
Yeah, and
it's always
also,
risk, but yeah.
yeah, and at a young age, you always have time to shift if it
Yeah,
doesn't.
yeah, exactly,
So,
exactly. Like
and your parents, how did they take your decision? Were they supportive? Were they aware of
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
the esports ecosystem? Did they support you?
I
How
had
was
to
it?
explain a lot. I will be honest, from the beginning, and we had some, let's say, arguments between us. It wasn't really that nice from the beginning, but I explained them that's something I love to do, and if I have something like how to say it, like if I love something, I always do my best. Like I'm that kind of person. Like I ignore everything else and I just want to pursue my dream and to what I'm like loving doing. So I explained it to them in that way, and from beginning they were really skeptical because they
Mhm.
had no clue. For them it was just okay, he's sitting behind the computer and we know nothing about it. But like after some time they understood. Even in our like local papers there were some let's say articles about me, what I'm actually doing. So people like starting to understand what esport is, and from that point my parents become really supportive, and it's the biggest supporters I have so far. So yeah, now it's great.
Nice, nice. That's great. That's great. That's great. And tell us a bit more, like why, as an amateur player, you decide to coach, because you got the coaching position chance. Like why not continue with your as a player and see how far you can get? Like, what was the
Okay.
main reason?
So, like, I always had the dream of, playing on the biggest stages of the world, being the best player of the world. Like, that was always like my vision because before I started like playing PC games, I played football for 12 years straight, and I loved the like ecosystem of football. I loved the game, and I was like in the position of player, and that was same for me in league. But I very soon understood that my level is not very should be to become a pro, and I couldn't reach a higher level than I was sitting on. I think I was like Diamond 1, Diamond 2 on EU West, like in season 6, 7, something like that,
Hmm.
and I couldn't move. And I was already like playing some tournaments. It was already after like let's say my amateur career. So I played for amateur organization from Spain. It was called Readman Esports, I believe. I was like doing some tryouts, but I never got a pickup. And I was like, okay, I would like to continue, from football. I know what coach does. I like the vision of being the coach. I actually might try it and I might improve as a player too. So I get a different perspective of how players should play. So that was my vision, like going into a coach position. And I got picked up as assistant coach for the first Italian division team.
Hmm.
And somehow from that point, I ended up as coach. I never returned to a player position. And from that point, I was trying to develop myself as a coach.
Nice. And how do you like keep developing yourself as a coach? Like that's a question for like coaches, like amateur coaches that might or even pro coaches that might see this interview. Like, what are your key points to keep developing as a coach?
So for me, the first thing that is very important for me, like for last year, is staying in very close touch with the game. So I'm playing the solo queue. I'm like on now master level. So for coach, I think it's not that bad. For well, like pro player or semi player, it's still very low. But I'm trying to understand the meta. I'm trying to get the view of the player, because after the years you are coaching, I think you are like getting more from the players and their feelings and how they see the game because you are not that close with the game as them. So I wanted to get the feel of how what from of what they are going through and from the meta and to see the game on let's say on decent level, which helps me a lot even with the confidence for coaching and overall for developing. You have a lot of content these days, so you are like going through Twitch, you are going through YouTube content of other coaches, other analysts, and you are like trying to gather informations. Then you have like some people from esports, at least from me, so I talk with people, I share ideas with people, they share ideas with me, and that's how you basically improve. I think it's very important for coaches to have some network, to have people around you that are actually in the esport industry and that like push you, gives you ideas, gives you feedback, and this kind of stuff is very important. Like you need to have a good circle around you to improve.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. And in the beginning, as an assistant coach, like how many years ago was that?
5 or 4, it was
4 or 5?
2018.
Yeah.
2018.
How was the routine of a team back then?
I will be honest, there
Like
wasn't any routine at all.
nutrition, psychology.
No, 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 no. It was very beginning. I think like
Yeah.
2018. For me, it was super new, right? It was first time I got a position, and I remember myself not being able to speak fluently in English as well. Like so, it was very very hard. We were in situation when our head coach was from Australia, and he
Mhm.
was coaching an European team. So he couldn't even be able to coach them properly because of the time zone. So it was kind of freestyle, I have to say, the first team. Like for me, it was like more of understanding like how it works, like how people communicate, what should I do. We had the coaches from academy that actually came up to us, and he was actually like a bit teaching me like some methods, how to draft. I was like, at the time, I think I was 16 or 17. For coach, it's very young age, I think. and I wasn't ready for that at all. I would probably make a different step if I was in the same position. But as I said, if I love something, I just jump into it, and I don't care. I will do my best. But it was more of like trying to understand the things in esport. Like I was very new. There wasn't any structure really. We were one of the worst team in the league. So for me, it was like first step. It was like throw him in the water and let's see if he knows how to swim. And that's what kind of happened.
Yeah, that's
But
great,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
That's great. I mean, you're never ready for a challenge. You just accept it
yeah,
and,
yeah, and
and go with it and figure it out. You know.
yeah,
So
exactly.
that's great. That's great. So that was just an assistant coach. Then, as a head coach, was that a big change? Because now you were in charge of a team,
Mhm.
like from having a head coach to learn from as a head coach. Like, how did you handle that? How was that transition?
I actually think it was quite easy, surprisingly,
Hmm.
because I moved from the Italian league to Czech organization, and we didn't play the first league or anything. We were like playing like championship of Czech that we qualified for, and then we played the championship of Slovakia, and that was like my first LAN event as a coach. So I came to the players, and for me it was quite easier because there wasn't a language barrier. Like I could speak
Hmm.
Czech, they spoke Czech as well, so it was quite easier. And I had a great experience on the LAN. We made it to the semifinals. Then we lost 1-2 against the champions of Czech. Like two of the players are in LEC right now. So
Hmm.
and we had a pretty decent run. And that time I think I was starting like figuring out how to do stuff. And for me, like for players, they say often they have a LAN event buff. When they play in front of people, some of them are like more afraid and they are more nervous. But some of them they have a buff. They play even better. Because it motivates them. And for me, it was the same as a coach. I came there and I felt really good because I saw everyone into eyes. So we saw each other. We were in one place. It wasn't online, so the work was easier. The motivation was much higher for me. So I had pretty decent time, and I think that was like my first bigger experience as a head coach. And from that point, I kind of knew what I want to do as a head coach. But if I look back, like I was still really bad. But at that time, I think I made a lot of improvement from being assistant, having no clue how to coach about the game because I wasn't the biggest level or on the higher level on the ladder. But I think I improved a lot.
Nice, nice. And I, I'm currently in 3BL Esports as an
Yeah.
analyst. Another position, like, was it something you were always good at, liked, or was it a position that was offered and you saw it as a good opportunity? How did that happen?
So I have to go a bit back.
Yeah.
I started like I have to go a bit back for the last split, if I may. I never wanted to be an analyst. Okay, it happened by accident actually. I was after my head coach position in Czech First League for one team. I had a burnout and it was really hard to deal with it. And I understood that I have to change a lot of things. So for upcoming split, for the summer split, last summer split, I was going into the coaching with very different mindset, and I offered myself as assistant coach once again to a foreign team. Not in Czech, but to foreign team. And I got the opportunity to Anorthosis Famagusta. That's a team from Greece, one of the best, if not the best, and they have multiple titles. And I made it through multiple tryouts to the final round, and they chose me. But there was 6 coaches with me, and I was focusing on the scouting. We had 2 analysts and another 3 coaches, and I wanted to be the assistant, but I got the job of being the scouter, and then I end up as a scout analyst. Like I was fine with the job. I wanted to improve. I knew we have really good players. We have a really good coaching staff, so I could learn once again and see the coaching from different perspective. And that's how I end up as an analyst, like by accident. But I found it very, very interesting for me. I think I was doing quite good job because we won the league. We made it really far in EU Masters from a team that no one really expected anything else, anything big. So yeah, that's how I started the analyst work, and I think I improved a lot. So I was like, okay, let's continue another split, and we will see how things goes. And that's how I got the job in FreeBL Esports. I wanted the job as analyst. I sent multiple messages to multiple teams, with my work samples with CV, and 3BL were interested. I was interested because it's first division, and sadly the last off season or this off season wasn't really nice to me because I had some health problems and I couldn't really like focusing on pushing myself on the market, to get some opportunity. So this was like last minute offer, and I was like, okay, this will be my first split as like being analyst like alone with no data analyst, no like analyst, another. So I just pushed myself and I got the job.
Nice, nice. And now that you're into like scouting more, like how do you like? That's more for other analysts. Not like what strategies do you use to like recruit the five personalities? Like
Mhm.
how do you make them work? Like how do you make these players are gonna work good together? Like what are your strategies? Because that's not easy. That's a lot of
Like
trial and error.
yeah, the scouting, I will explain a bit more. The scouting I meant for the enemy team. So basically, I was doing the wall preparation, right? That's basically my job was in Anorthosis with another analyst. He was like preparing the presentation, and I was focusing on the game things. So I brought the information, he made the presentation, and then we work on some things as well together. So we were like working as a team with very small circle as well in the team.
Mhm.
And so I'm focusing on the scouting of the enemy, and the techniques are, I think, very quite easy. You start with like, at least I start with like LOL pros because that's the biggest database of the players in Europe. So you go through the enemy team. I check the OPGGs because if I don't know the player, I want to see what he's playing, right? If he has some pocket picks, what he's playing on the Smurf, how if he's testing some champions in the solo queue. So I make some imagine of the player, and then I go through the votes that they have because throughout the split they play a lot of the games. So I go through the games, I speed up the video a little bit, and I check the level 1 position. Then I put it into the presentation. Then I go through the pathings, and I get the pathings into the presentation too, so we know where he paths, if he like to skip camps, or if he is like full clearing or something. You basically what you are doing, you are looking for patterns. You are looking for the patterns of the enemy team, and as much as patterns you can get, that's really good for you. And then you put it into the presentation, and then you present it to the players, and then you have the statistic things. Like, I'm not a data analyst, so let's say I'm not working with programming programs or anything else. But there is a lot of websites that you can use as an analyst. So you can work with, for example, GoalGG. You can work with Oracle. You can work with a lot of other websites that gives you like some informations like about the drafts, about the percentage of first blood, or where they play the map. You can get the map heat, so you have the information about vision. And this is something like I'm doing, right? Then you put it into the presentation, you gather all the informations. For me, I'm always trying to get from the gameplay of the enemies, I'm trying to make a notes about each player, and then I write down the most important things or the patterns that he's doing, and we can punish, and then you present it to the team.
Right. So that will be basically your daily routine as an analyst, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Right now,
pretty
no?
much. Yeah, pretty
Yes.
much.
That's and how do you think the the League of Legends, like the video game, has evolved, like
Hmm.
very broadly? Like, what do you think? How do you think it has evolved, and how do you think it will, or how do you want it to
Okay,
evolve?
it evolved massively, right? I think the game is very different than it used to be like 5 years
Mhm.
ago. I don't
Yeah.
think like many players would actually, if they don't stick with the game, they would be like super confused. I have a
Mhm.
good example. My friend, I was like spending a lot of time with playing duo queue. He returned to the playing after like 1 year, and he's like super confused. Okay, he doesn't know what the items does. The meta is very different. The play styles is very different. So the game is evolving with every patch. You know, every bigger patch, the game is evolving basically. So
Mhm.
it's hard to predict. Now the meta is basically playing for bot lane. So we are playing jungler that can easily skip ganks and look for early ganks on the map. For in the best scenario, you go for a bot lane because it's bot lane meta. It probably will change after some big patch as well. And the biggest changes I see is probably the items, right?
Mhm.
Because back then I had this conversation with a player. He was very good at the building, you know, items, itemization. So he had the advantage against other players because he knew what he want to build. And some players are just, they have bad habits. They build items without thinking like if it's actually good because they don't think about itemization that much. And that's something that Riot changed, and now it's much easier to build because the items are quite easy to understand. So the advantage of my friend is non-existent right now because the Riot actually even like recommending you what you should buy, what is good against those champions, what is good against those champions. So I think the Riot is making a lot of things easier. I think it's very nice for newcomers, because the game overall is very hard to understand. It's like a chess, I think, but a video game
Mhm.
or MOBA. So yeah, they are making things easier, even with the jungle changes. The jungle now, the pathing, it's like quite easier. It's harder to counter jungle the enemy. So I think they are like making the game much easier when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Okay, nice. Do you think they're gonna create new jobs and eliminate new jobs that you were mentioning
Hmm.
about this?
Like you mean on the Rift, like
Yeah, yeah.
jungler. Hard to expect, man. It's Riot Games. They they do plenty of weird stuff, in my opinion. So it might happen. It might happen. I think the game will be definitely evolving, right? It cannot stop. If they want to be the top of the top, they have to evolve and get a new players and try new stuff. So it's gonna happen. I don't know in what direction it's gonna be. I literally have no clue, to be honest. But things will be changing for sure. Like I'm not expecting anything else.
Nice. And do you see it as a generational esports? Like, for example, in the future with your kids
Yeah,
going
it's
to a
for sure.
game.
It's just matter of time, If you see like how I think I'm on the edge of growing with like 90s people, people from 90s. Like you are spending a lot of time out with friends. You are not spending that much on the computer. Like I had my first computer at I was like 7 or 7, I think 7, 8, and I wasn't playing that much back then. It turned like at 9 or 10, so I was spending a lot of time out, right, with friends. And now there is a new generation and they spend a lot of time out as well, but they have the mobiles, they play something on their phone, they are behind the PC almost like all day. So I think now it's become a trend and it becomes part of our lives. So the esport comes with it. I think it will become like a new football or something, like because
Nice.
now, like over the 4 years or 5 years, I'm not sure how long I'm actually part of esports scene. I see the changes. I see the changes, how people react if they talk to you about it. From only 4 years, it's only 4 years. It's not even like a decade or something. and the
Yeah.
people are changing their opinions a lot. Like if I remember, like when I was like talking to people of my age, when like 4 or 3 years ago, when I was explaining what I'm doing, they were like, "What? Are you like crazy? Like, it doesn't have any future. So you are basically sitting behind computer like every day, and they couldn't understand even the process. Like you couldn't explain to them. So and now I see big changes, to be honest. Like
Yeah.
it's only in Czech, right? And I think Czech is a bit behind to other countries in many things. And if it's happening in Czech, I think it will be same in Spain, for example, because the scene is much bigger than in Czech. It will be different in Germany. So I think it's just matter of time, and it's going to be very regular thing in the future, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a big, you know, bubble. It's been very, like
Yeah,
esports over esports. Now but now like the key now for companies to survive is to learn how to monetize the audience. Like it was a
yeah, I
lot
agree.
like the esports teams and scene was very like passionate. There was a lot of money from sponsorship and stuff. But
Mm.
now it's changing, and now but it's good because what we want is sustainability.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Not so yeah,
Yeah,
very
I
good.
think we need like 10 years at least to be
Mhm.
on the level when I would like to be honest the esport. I think there is a lot of like passion for the esport. I think most of the people that are here for a long period are doing it from passion, but you need to be very professional as well, and that's something that the ecosystem might miss in some areas because it's still very new. We need the experience, we need the people, we need to understand how to do things, how to communicate. So I think it will take still a lot of time, but we are on a good way, I believe.
Yeah, and also like it's a small like doesn't matter if it's Europe, but it's a small ecosystem, and we
Yeah,
have to help each other and do things right. Because
yeah,
if you do things wrong, we'll know, and
yeah,
everyone will
yeah,
know. So that's a good thing. So great, great. And going back to you, what do you think you enjoy or enjoyed most? Assistant, head coach, or analyst?
yeah. Everything has the bright moments, For an analyst, I think the role is very good for introverts because if you don't want to, you don't spend that much time as head coach or assistant coach with the team, and you can like focusing on your job only, and it's like it's only you, and then you have to present it. Of course, you talk with the players, but it's up to you mostly how much time you want to spend with the players. So it's like very good for introverts. Uh, so I enjoy that part because I'm like, let's say, half introvert, half extrovert. So I was like enjoying that part of myself and that part of the work. For head coach, I like that everything is in your direction. So your ideas, how you want to lead the team, your visions are listened because you are the guy on the top. So things are going to be happening in your way. I mean, not every time, as you might know, a lot of shit happens behind the scenes, but you are in charge basically. So you do good, you get the prize, you get the applause, you get everything because you are on the top. You do shit, you do bad, and yeah, you might get fired out. So you are in charge, and I like being in charge of things. And as assistant coach, I think it's the best position to grow because there is not a
Mhm.
pressure on you. So you can get experience from head coach, you can get experience from the players, and you as well like getting experience from multiple things because as assistant coach you are depends from in every team it's different. In every team analysts do a bit different job, assistant coach do a bit different job. Really depends on the head coach and what he needs from them. But as assistant coach you will get with touch with a lot of different things. So you can learn for example how to scout. You can learn how to do votes. you can learn how to communicate with people better, and you can get in touch with a lot of other things. So yeah, I think it's the best position to learn things. But I enjoy myself the most probably on the head coach position, because even if I fuck it up, I want to improve from it, and I like being the guy that is on the charge. Is in the charge.
Nice. In the near
So
future, do you see yourself coming back to head coach,
I
or
will, yeah, I
or
will
you will?
definitely be exploring options. I want to explore options as head coach, assistant coach, analyst, and I will see what the future brings to me. I will take the most or the best opportunity that will make sense to me. If it's assistant coach, analyst, head coach, I don't really know right now, but I definitely want to explore the options. I think the split off or two splits off being of the head coach position helped me a lot, because I had, let's say, two different head coaches, and I could learn from their mistakes. I could take a lot from what they are doing good, you know, and I could also give my vision into it. So I feel very motivated coming into the role if I get the opportunity, and I might have like a really fresh air, like fresh motivation, and that's something I missed last split being head coach, and it was very hard for me to figure out like how I want to do things, and I think I needed time off from to different position, move to different position, and now I feel like I actually might be ready to do that again.
Great, great, great. And to wrap this interview up, like, what is um in English, like advice that you would give to players, be amateur or pro? Like, what is advice you would give to, especially League of Legends players?
Mm. I mean, try not to ego trip that much, and look at your replays. At every game that you feel I played fine, but I could play better, or you don't have the feeling that you actually won behind the game, go watch the replay, because then you see it from a very different perspective, and try to learn, try to understand why you did that move, try to think. What I'm doing when I'm having session with new players, coaching session, the when they are on lower level, okay, like gold, plat, diamond, and they have some problem, they are stuck or they cannot move, it's because they have a lot of bad habits and they are not thinking about the game. They are auto-piloting basically. So try to think first. Try to think why I'm doing this, why I'm buying this item. Isn't it just bad habit, or it is actually good against the enemy team comp? Try to think about the game, about what you are doing, what you could do better, and I think that's a good start for newcomers, for players that feel that they reach their peak and they cannot move forward. I think this is really important. For a more experienced player, for pro players, when you have the luxury of being a pro and getting money from it, and you can actually focus on the game, make a schedule. Make a schedule that you that fits your like lifestyle, I guess, or your life, that you feel most comfortable with. Like play 3 to 5 games per day maximum, because you look in solo queue. If you have scrims, you play like 9 games per day, right? If you have scrims. So in solo queue, play 3 to 5 game maximum. You look for how it's consistency, and not like playing 10 games, and when you are not even sitting properly. You are playing 9
Mhm.
game of the day, and you are sitting like you have your legs on the computer or on the desk, and you are just clicking because you have to click. That's not effective. It's just waste of practice. It's waste of you are just making bad habits basically. So there is a lot of things that you can do as a pro to avoid this, like play 3 to 5 games per day. Then you have scrims. Make a schedule that going to be healthy for you. Like wake up at certain time, do something for your body, like stretching, running, go to the gym, something that is like healthy for you. because it helps with mental health as well. Mental health is very important in any sport, because when you are sitting behind computer like every day, like 24 hours almost, if you don't sleep, then it's very unhealthy, right? Depression might come, health issues might come, lot of things. And part of the success, like half of the success, is your head. And how is your mindset, how you are able to approach things, how you take criticism and feedback. So you need to work on this aspect too. And the movement is very important. I'm saying to that in every team I am, movement is must. Okay, you have to move, and I always can talk from like my experience. Like I spent my teenager age playing the game, and I wasn't really, after I quit football, I really didn't move or anything else. And until now, I have problems with my back. Like I have to visit doctor now, like every week for the last 4 months, so I can fix it, and it's not very pleasant, let's say. So I think it's very important to move, to go to the gym. Like if you don't like to go to the gym, go running, go walking, just do something that gives you different vibe than sitting. Like the movement is very important.
Move,
So
move.
make a schedule basically.
Nice, nice. Dominik, thank you so much for your time and adding value to those players and coaches. For sure, we'll stay in touch. But thank you for your time, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a great time.
Well, have a good one.
You too. Bye bye.